unmute your mic and you can ask whatever question that you have, or if you're seeking clarity, or if you need me to repeat a slide, then you can just indicate for me in the group chat, or you can raise your hand or use the icons in the participants box there. Right, so these are some of the textbooks that we will be using. The Life Science Solution for All here on our right, and the ACID study guide and this Zooming Life Science with interactive multimedia. Guys, you can get these textbooks on Snaplify. All right, these textbooks are free of charge on Snaplify. So you can download the Snaplify app on your phone and you can download these textbooks, right? Okay. Okay, so yesterday we looked at gaseous exchange in the alveoli, and that is where we stopped. So today we're going to continue from transport of gases around the body, and then we're also going to look at gaseous exchange in the tissues, as well as composition of inspired air versus expired air. So basically just compare the true compositions of each, all right? Okay, now let us start here with a quick recap. We looked at the alveoli, and we said that the alveoli has a flattened squamous epithelial cells, right? And then we also said that it has a lining, a fluid lining called a surfactant, which prevents the cell from drying. We also mentioned that the alveoli is surrounded by capillaries, and we can also see these capillaries here on this particular structure. And we said that the blood coming in from here is from the blood cells, all right? And it is rich in carbon dioxide. And this particular type of blood is called deoxygenated blood, all right? That comes from the blood cells in the body, body cells, and it is your deoxygenated blood, and then it will move through here, and the carbon dioxide will diffuse into the alveoli, and the oxygen will diffuse into the blood capillary, and this blood will move to the body cells, all right? So this is from the body cells, and this is to the body cells. The blue one is deoxygenated, and the red side is oxygenated blood, right? And then we also mentioned that the pulmonary vein, right? That is the vein that leaves the lung and carries oxygenated blood to the heart. And from the heart, the blood, it is pumped out to the body cells, okay? Right, and here we looked at this picture explaining how the gases basically travel through our body with the aid of our connective tissue, right? We said here we have capillary beds of the lungs where gas exchange occurs, and then this the oxygenated blood will travel through the pulmonary vein and then to the heart. From the heart and by the left atrium, it will travel to the body cells, right? And then once the body cells expire, or rather when they undergo cellular respiration, the carbon dioxide which is formed will move through this particular artery here, right? And then to the heart, from the heart back to the lungs, and then it is expired. The carbon dioxide is exhaled or expired, right? So guys, remember, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to write them down in the group chat, okay? Right, I see I have a question. I think it is, okay, so the question is based on my email address. All right, Lerato, I will show my email address again at the end of this session, all right? I'll put up my email address again once we're done with class. Okay, and we also looked at how the alveoli or alveolus is adapted for gaseous exchange. Remember, we said that here we have the movement of air, right? And here we have our blood capillary, okay? And then the alveolus wall is 1 cell thick. So that is our squamous epithelium, right? Remember, this is our squamous epithelium. And then we have blood from the pulmonary artery. This is the deoxygenated blood. So the blood that comes from your pulmonary artery basically comes from your body cells which underwent cellular respiration. Okay. Then here we have the deoxygenated red blood cells. Then the red blood cells also take in oxygen, which comes from the alveolus. What is also important to note is that the capillary wall is also 1 cell thick. And then here we have the carbon dioxide again, which comes from the pulmonary artery, which is diffused into the, alveolus, and then it is pushed out of our lungs, right? Here we have our oxygenated blood cells, and this is blood that is going to the pulmonary vein, which is oxygenated, and therefore it will go to the heart, and from the heart, it is pumped to the various body cells in our body. Okay. And here we have our water film. Remember, this is called a surfactant, right? This water film or fluid tissue is called surfactant, right? Okay. Okay, so now we're going to look at transport of the gases around the body. So basically, this is just to reiterate what I have been saying. We said that oxygen, right? We inhale air and then there is oxygen in the alveoli. But that oxygen, it needs to get into our blood, and from our blood, it needs to get to our body cells, right? And how does that happen? Cool. So what we have is the oxygen diffusing from the alveolus to the blood capillary, right? And remember we said that diffusion happens when a substance moves from high concentration to a low concentration, okay? So oxygen is in a high concentration in the alveolus, and in the blood capillaries, there is a low concentration of oxygen, and hence it will move down its diffusion gradient, or rather according to its diffusion gradient, right? Then once it gets into the blood, it will bind to the red blood cells, okay? And in the red blood cells, we have what we call hemoglobin, and the oxygen will bind to the hemoglobin, causing the molecule to be oxyhemoglobin, and that is how it will travel to the various cells in our body, okay? So now let us look at the information we have. Okay, so here we have a picture, right, that is indicating to us how the oxygen binds to the hemoglobin. So we have our erythrocyte. Erythrocyte is a red blood cell, okay, which is found in our blood plasma, okay, and it is also in our arteries, okay. So remember, guys, if I am going too fast, just indicate for me to go slower. So we have our red blood cell here, right? And then we have the hemoglobin, which is right here, these red circles here, the hemoglobin, right, in the red blood cell. And then once diffusion happens, once the diffusion of oxygen from our alveolus to our blood capillary happens, our oxygen that diffused binds rather to the hemoglobin. As you guys can see here, the hemoglobin, and then we also have the oxygen here. Okay, guys, just hold on a bit. All right, cool. It's just waiting for one student to enter. Right, cool. As I was saying, that we have this hemoglobin here, and then the oxygen, which is diffused into the blood capillary, it binds to the hemoglobin. As you guys can see, the oxygen is represented by the blue circle. Okay, so that is how the oxygen would travel, right, through our blood capillaries. Okay. Right, I have a question. What is hemoglobin? So hemoglobin is a metalloprotein, okay? It is a metalloprotein which is found in our blood plasma. And it has iron, which causes our blood to be the color that it is. So it causes the blood to be red, right? It's a metalloprotein found in blood plasma. It carries oxygen, it carries carbon dioxide, and it causes our blood to be red. All right. Cool. Let us move on. Okay, first thing, so when oxygen diffuses into the blood, most of it combines with hemoglobin in the red blood cells and is transported as oxyhemoglobin. So remember, this oxyhemoglobin is when the oxygen binds to this particular protein, right, called hemoglobin. Okay. Right, second point, a small amount of oxygen is transported in the blood plasma. So it's not all the oxygen which will bind to the hemoglobin that is present, okay? Then it moves to the heart, just as we explained, and it is eventually pumped out to the tissues of the body, right? Then the same with carbon dioxide, but remember that carbon dioxide is a different story. It is from the body cells, okay? It is not from the alveolus, it is from the body cells. So carbon dioxide dissolves from the cells of the body to the blood capillaries. Then most of the carbon dioxide dissolves in water of the blood plasma and is transported as bicarbonate ions. And then some of the carbon dioxide is carried by the red blood cells, combining with the hemoglobin, forming carb hemoglobin. Right, is everyone following? Just please use the yes and no icon there by participants, so you can just indicate for me in the group chat. Are we all together? Are we following? And to those of you guys who have just joined us, we are dealing with transport of gases around the body. Is those gases transferred to the body cells? That is what we have been looking at now. All right, cool, awesome. Okay, so now let us look at the gaseous exchange in tissues, right? So now remember, when once the oxygen, right, is moving through our capillaries and it went to the heart and it is pumped out to our body cells, this is the part that we're looking at. How is the oxygen transferred to our body cells, right, in order for cellular respiration to take place? Cool. So now the body cell has a low concentration of oxygen and a high concentration of carbon dioxide. And again, this is because cellular respiration took place in the body cells, and hence the variations of concentration of these particular gases, okay? So remember, guys, the product of cellular respiration is water, right? It is carbon dioxide and also energy. All right, so after cellular respiration has taken place, we have those particular products forming, and therefore we have a low concentration of oxygen. But again, remember that our blood capillaries are rich in oxygen, and these gases, they move via diffusion. Again, let us go back to the definition of diffusion. It is when a substance moves from a high concentration to a lower concentration, right? And that is what is happening in this particular structure here. Right, second bullet reads, now the oxygen diffuses from the blood capillary to the body cell down its diffusion gradient, and the carbon dioxide diffuses from the body cell into the blood down its diffusion gradient, right? A very important bullet to note there. So here in this picture, we have an example of the gaseous exchange at the tissues. We have our red blood cells here. Then we have our tissue fluid, okay, and we have our cell. So what is coming in is the oxygen. All right, we have oxygen, which is coming into our body cell, and then the carbon dioxide will basically also diffuse out of the cell into the red blood cells or into the blood capillary, right? Question. And I am going to need everyone to answer. So please do send through your answers in the group chat. The blood vessel that carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs is A, the pulmonary artery, B, pulmonary vein, C, the aorta, or D, none of the above. Please do send through your answers. I'll give you guys a minute. Okay, so answers I'm getting is A. Okay. Send through your answers, guys, if you haven't sent them through yet. The blood vessel that carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs is A, the pulmonary artery, B, the pulmonary vein, C, the aorta, or D, none of the above. No, we haven't marked yesterday's homework as yet. Can relax. Haven't marked. We are still yet to mark the homework. Right, let's see the answer. So most of you guys said it's A, C. So indeed, the pulmonary artery is rather the blood vessel that carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. And remember, we said that this deoxygenated blood has a high concentration of carbon dioxide as compared to the oxygen in it, and hence it is called deoxygenated blood. The carbon dioxide that is found in this artery comes as a result of cellular respiration that took place in the body cells, right? So just for those who did not understand why we say the answer is A and refrained from answering, that is why the answer is the pulmonary artery. Okay, hope everyone is following, guys. So please do send through your answers so I can see that we all understand. Okay. I think we have another question. Yebo. The structure found at the top of the trachea is A, the epiglottis, B, the glottis, C, the larynx, or D, the trachea. Wow. Out of the people. The structure found at the top of the trachea, is it A, the epiglottis, B, the glottis, C, the larynx, or D, the trachea? I'll give you guys a minute. Okay, I see the letter C is chosen from majority of you guys. Right, let's see what the answer is. And yes, it is the larynx. Remember, the larynx is the voice box. Okay, and the glottis is just the opening of the trachea, and the epiglottis is the covering of the glottis. Okay. Right, let us move on. Now let us look at the composition of inhaled air versus exhaled air. So I got this table here from the study and master grade 11 life science textbook. And I'm just going to read out this top part for you guys, and then we're just going to compare the data which was found in inhaled air and exhaled air. Okay. So it reads the composition of inhaled and exhaled air in humans. So there must be a diffusion gradient for each gas for oxygen to pass into an organism and carbon dioxide to pass out of the organism. That is, gases pass from regions of high concentrations to regions of low concentration. The composition of inhaled air is the same as that of the external atmosphere, but exhaled air contains more carbon dioxide and less oxygen. The atmosphere contains approximately 21% oxygen and 0.04% carbon dioxide. There is a lower concentration of oxygen in blood vessels of the lungs because of this lower concentration gradient, oxygen will diffuse from the lungs into the blood. Carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood to the lungs. Okay, then table 2.4.3 illustrates the approximate composition of inhaled and exhaled air. So basically, guys, what we have just read there is what we have been saying throughout this lesson. Okay, so now let us look at the composition. So oxygen in inhaled air is around about 21%, and exhaled air, it is 16%. Rather, let us first look at inhaled air, the composition of each of the gases present in inhaled air. So carbon dioxide, which is present in the air that we inhale, is 0.04%. Then we have nitrogen, which is 79%. Then temperature varies because sometimes we breathe in cold air, sometimes we breathe in hot air. Okay, and then water vapor is 0.6%. Let us look at exhaled air. Oxygen is 16%, carbon dioxide is 4%, and we can see an increase in carbon dioxide percentage as compared to the inhaled air. And then in oxygen, we see a decreased percentage, right? And then the nitrogen is 79% because our bodies does not use nitrogen in gaseous form. And then temperature is around about 24 to 34 degrees. So usually our exhaled air is hotter. Most of the times it's either warmer than our inhaled air. And you guys can also feel it if you just put your hand in front of your mouth and you breathe out, you can feel that air is a bit warm, okay? And then the water vapor is 4%, and it's increased from the 0.6% that was inhaled. Again, this is also because of cellular respiration that takes place. Remember, water and carbon dioxide are products of cellular respiration. Okay. Are we all together? Are we all following? Do we have any questions? Yes, no, maybe. Go faster, go slower. Please indicate for me, guys. All right, beautiful. Okay. All right. Let us move on. So here is the homework that we had yesterday. Okay, so Lesedi, I will be expecting answers from you because you were a bit stressed. Okay, so yesterday we had homework, right? Question 2.3. This is from a past common paper, and it reads, the diagram below represents a section through an alveolus and a surrounding blood capillary in the human body. Study the diagram and answer the questions. Question 2.3.1, name the type of epithelial tissue numbered 1 and 2. Please send through your answers, or you can raise your hand and then I'll unmute your mic. The type of epithelial tissue numbered 1. So here is 1. Okay, Lesedi.
Number 2.3.1 was flattened squamous epithelial tissue.
Which one is the squamous epithelial tissue? Is it 1 or 2?
It is number 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Then what is number 2?
Isn't it both squamous epithelial tissue?
Okay, so remember, this structure here with these concave thingies, these are red blood cells, and this is the blood capillary, right? And this is our alveolus.
Okay.
Yeah, and remember we said that the squamous epithelial cells, they are found on the alveolus. So which one would be the, which number would represent the squamous epithelial tissue?
Number 2.
Perfect. And then what would number 1 be?
I'm not sure.
Okay, guys, what is number 1? Please send through your answers. But guys, you're quiet. Capillary wall. That is a great attempt, eh? I like that. I love it. Okay, so let us see what the answer to question 2.3.1 is. So just as we said, that number 2 is the squamous epithelium. So number 1 is the endothelium. All right. So do you know that was a great attempt? I would give you half a mark for that. It is the endothelium. All right. Okay, question 2.3.2. Identify the blood cell labeled 3. The blood cell labeled 3. So it is here and also here and here as well. The blood cell labeled 3. Send through your answers, guys. Okay, so we have an answer, red blood corpuscles. You, okay. All right. So yes, the blood cell in label 3 is our red blood cells, okay? Or, oh my gosh, I wrote red. It's red, no guys, red with a D. Red blood cell or your erythrocyte, okay? So here's the corpuscles, red blood cell or the erythrocyte, okay? Okay, question 2.3.3. What pigment is found in the cell mentioned in question 2.3.2? What pigment is found in the cell mentioned in question 2.3.2? Red pigment. Okay, the red pigment is caused by what? What is this red pigment caused by? Right, we have hemoglobin from Prashani, and that is correct. Okay, so remember that this red pigment comes about because of the hemoglobin, right, Lesedi? So it comes about because of the hemoglobin. Okay, and remember hemoglobin is a metalloprotein, okay? Then question 2.3.4, which type of blood A enters the blood capillary at A and then B leaves blood? Enters at A and leaves at B. Right, I have an answer from Prashant. It says A is oxygenated blood. And then Dino says A is deoxygenated. I think was supposed to be a D there, all right? He also says A is deoxygenated blood. Okay, and then at B, what type of blood leaves? Oxygenated. Prashant still says it's deoxygenated. Okay, let's see what the answer is. So at A, we have deoxygenated and B is oxygenated. So guys, just always look at your arrows, okay? So basically A comes from the body cells, okay? It is blood from the body cells. And we can immediately see that by the indication of this arrow here, because immediately when it comes in, we have a diffusion again of carbon dioxide, all right? And this blood here at B, it is leaving again to the body cells. So if you see an arrow coming in, that means that it is from the body cells. And the arrow that is going out, it's going to the body cells. Okay, so A is deoxygenated because it has the carbon dioxide, which was produced after the cells underwent cellular respiration. And then B has blood, which has a high concentration of oxygen because oxygen just diffused from the alveoli to the blood capillary. All right. I hope you understand that, Prashani. And if I do need to explain again, just indicate for me. Ne? Okay, sure. Right, question 2.3.5, supply any 3 structural adaptations of the alveoli which make them well suitable for gaseous exchange. Supply any 3 structural adaptations of the alveoli which make them well suitable for gaseous exchange. Please send through your answers, or you can raise your hand, guys. Miss Sadie, I think your hand is up. Okay. Yabo.
Okay, for number 1, I said it has 1 cell thickness for simple diffusion of oxygen from the alveoli to blood capillaries and into the blood cells. And then number 2, I said the alveoli has a large surface area and are in large numbers for more efficient gaseous exchange. And then number 3, I said has a thin layer of moist lining that allows gas molecules to dissolve.
Beautiful. All right. That is great. So does anyone have any other answer that is different from Lissetti's answer? You can send it through to the group chat, or you can raise your hand. All right, so let us look at the answer. So that was a beautiful answer, Lissetti. And here we have many alveoli are present, therefore they provide large, sorry, that was too quick. What am I doing now? Okay, they, wow. Okay, cool. Prashani, you raised your hand. Let's see. Okay, it seems like Prashani's mic doesn't want to unmute. Oh, it's fine. Okay. I'm sorry for moving too quickly. Excuse. Okay, so yeah, as we're looking at the questions for the answer, sorry, for question 2.3.5, many alveoli are present, therefore they provide a large surface area, just as Lissetti said, and then the inner surface is kept moist by a film of moisture to facilitate diffusion, perfect. Then the lining of the alveolus is thin. It is 1 cell thick for rapid diffusion of gases, and then another reason is that the alveoli are in close contact with blood capillaries. Okay, so I hope everyone got that. Okay. All right, so we all understand gaseous exchange until here, right? We all understand what's happening during gaseous exchange up until here. The transport of gases to our body, the transport of gases to the tissues, right? Are we all together? Are we all following? Is there any questions maybe? Okay, I see a yes. All right, cool. So I will move on. Okay, so we are going to look at the second part of the human gaseous exchange system, which is homeostatic control of breathing. Okay, homeostatic control of breathing. First to note is that at rest, an adult breathes 16 to 18 times a minute. And remember, at rest is what we call quiet breathing, okay? And then as the body changes its type of activity, the rate at which the body uses oxygen changes, right? So when you are at rest and not doing anything, okay, the oxygen you use would most likely be less than when you are running or playing outside. Okay, Okay, so when you're playing or running outside, your body would most likely use more oxygen as compared to when you are at rest. Okay, and then the rate of breathing, which is basically how fast or how slow you breathe, and the depth of breathing, which is how much oxygen you take in and how much carbon dioxide you diffuse out, and the rate at which the heart pumps the blood around your body determines how fast oxygen is supplied to the body cells. Okay. All right, so now let us look at the definition of homeostasis. That is the ability of the body to maintain a constant internal environment, irrespective of the changes in the external environment. Okay. Okay, so now let us look at what happens if, or rather, if we have a modification in the rate of breathing. For example, as I mentioned, if we are moving from our bodies being at rest and we are participating in a physical activity like running, playing sports, or whatever. Okay, so now let us look at the information that we have here. It says during strenuous physical activity, the body requires large amounts of energy. This energy is released during the process of cellular respiration. Since large amounts of energy is required, more cellular respiration has to occur at a faster rate, and therefore more oxygen is required. Because remember, guys, oxygen is a reactant for cellular respiration to take place. Okay. And then also, because more cellular respiration occurs, more carbon dioxide is produced, then the breathing rate will have to change in order to get more oxygen and get rid of the excess carbon dioxide that is produced. And this occurs in the following way. Firstly, as a result of increased physical activity, the rate of cellular respiration increases. Second point, as a result of increased respiration, more carbon dioxide is released into the blood, or it is diffused into the blood. And then this stimulates the medulla oblongata of the brain. The medulla oblongata sends impulses to the heart and breathing muscles. And then these causes the heart to beat faster. And this takes blood high in carbon dioxide at a faster rate from the cells to the lungs. Then the abdominal muscles pushes up the diaphragm for greater force. Then the breathing muscles speed up the breathing movements. Okay, and then this results in carbon dioxide leaving the body at a faster rate and more oxygen entering the body faster. Okay, so both the exhalation of carbon dioxide happens at a faster rate, and also the inhalation of oxygen also happens at a faster rate. Okay, point 11, therefore excess carbon dioxide leaves the body rapidly and more oxygen enters the body. Then the levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide return to normal levels within the body, and this is known as homeostasis. So once we have a shift from the balance, right, that we, or rather the breathing at normal, right, if we move higher in terms of like we participate in physical activity, we run, our bodies, or rather our breathing, will have hyperventilation, and that hyperventilation is basically trying to get rid of the excess carbon dioxide and also balance the oxygen again back to normal. So that is basically what homeostasis is, maintaining a balance in the body, right? Are we all following? Do we all understand homeostasis of breathing? Do we all understand how the depth of breathing is affected and how the rate of breathing is also affected? Ooh, go slower. Is there something that I need to explain again? I'm only seeing the go slower part now. Do I need to go back to something? Is there anything that I need to explain again? I see someone said I should go slower. So I don't know if they missed something. Okay, so I'm guessing we are good and I can move on, but I will go on a slower pace. All right, I'm sorry for that. Righty. Okay, so now let us look at the terminology that we have covered so far. So we looked at homeostasis and we said that this is the ability of the body to maintain a constant internal environment, irrespective of the changes in the external environment. We looked at exhalation, which is the process during which air rich in carbon dioxide is forced out of the body. And while we are at exhalation, can you guys give me at least two characteristics that happens right in the lungs when we are exhaling? For example, actually, let me start here. What happens to the volume of our lungs when we exhale air? What happens to the volume of the lungs when we exhale? Can you use the group chat to send through your answers? What happens to the volume of the lung when we exhale? The volume decreases, perfect. And what happens to the pressure? So the volume decreases and the pressure increases, perfect, cool. And then inhalation, this is the process during which air rich in oxygen is drawn into the lungs. So what happens to the diaphragm when we inhale? What happens to the diaphragm when we inhale? The diaphragm, what happens to the diaphragm when we inhale? Okay, I just got an answer. It says the diaphragm expands. Okay. So remember, guys, our diaphragm can either be flat, okay, or it can be arched or dome-shaped. Okay? Okay, see another answer says the diaphragm relaxes. And the other one says it contracts and it is flattened. Yes, thank you, Arabilwe. The diaphragm contracts and it is flattened. So when the diaphragm relaxes and is arched, that is when we are exhaling. Okay, Lesedi. So remember that the diaphragm becomes dome-shaped when we exhale, but when we inhale, it contracts and it is flattened, right? Okay, then we have hemoglobin. This is a pigment that gives blood its red color and transport gases to and from the cells. And then we have a biconcave shape. This is when something is curved inwards on both sides. And our red blood cells are biconcave. Right. Let me just see how many more slides we have. So we still have this slide and this slide. So guys, we'll just look at the rest of the terminology tomorrow. So guys, thank you very, very much for joining in today's lesson. We will continue from where we left off during tomorrow's lesson. Please do remember to tell your friends that we do have life sciences at 1 o'clock. And also guys, here is my email to, I think it was Lerato who wanted my email address. It's onkarabetse.setswe@gmail.com, right? So also please follow Africa Teen Geeks on all their social media platforms. And thank you guys for attending. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Good day and goodbye.